Hi, thank you. We don't have much time, so we'll get straight into it. Anna, how is the financial system being used to weaponize attempts to attack democracy?
Easy. The governments just deprive you of access to money, or they use your financial data against you. Let me introduce myself first. I work at the Anti-Corruption Foundation, the leading opposition power of Russia, the organization that was founded by Alexei Navalny. And I joined the organization back in 2017, and I worked there as a CFO. And since I started working, I experienced how the government was attacking us with the help of the banking system constantly. They were blocking our bank accounts. They were blocking bank accounts of our employees all the time because the Russian banking system is fully transparent, it's fully controlled by the government, and it was very easy for the government to stop us from doing our job by simply blocking our bank accounts. And 3 months ago, I joined Human Rights Foundation, where I work as a non-profit Bitcoin adoption lead, which means that I teach other non-profits, other freedom fighters, how to use Bitcoin in their work, because I have a lot of experience at the Anti-Corruption Foundation. And why, in the first place, this position exists at the Human Rights Foundation? Because we realize that there is a huge demand, there is a growing demand for NGOs, for non-profits, for freedom fighters globally, for financial freedom tools. And why is it happening generally? Because the governments everywhere in the world, they use the banking system, they use financial system as a tool of oppression against freedom fighters, because they understand that it's the easiest way. When they deprive us of access to money, they simply deprive us of access to oxygen, because we need to make payments, we need to pay salaries, we need to pay rent, or for example, when we organize protest rallies, we need to pay for some posters or to buy some equipment, microphones, whatever. We always need to have access to money, and the governments just realize that it's very easy to stop us from doing what we do by blocking our bank accounts. And if we take an example, like recent example of Georgia, the country that is neighboring Russia, it is getting more and more obvious that Georgia is taking pro-Russian turn today and pro-Putin turn. And like the first thing that Georgian government just did, they adopted a new law that is called foreign agent law, which means that the government controls all NGOs, all freedom fighters, democratic institutes by controlling their bank accounts. They basically are going to attack all of those institutes who receive money from abroad. So it's very easy for the governments to use the financial institutes against the freedom fighters, against non-profits, against everyone who wants to build democracy in their countries.
And Mike, it certainly feels like in the West that democracy itself is fraying around the edges, and within our community of Bitcoin, we have a lot of people who don't believe in democracy. We have libertarians, we have monarchists, we have a range of ideas that people are discussing. Right now, is it even more important to defend the principles of democracy, and how can Bitcoin help support democracy?
Well, I mean, before I answer that question, I'll just note that it hasn't escaped me that tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion in Normandy. Both of my grandfathers were there. I grew up in Canada. They were there on Juno Beach alongside the British, who they shared. I'm also an American now, so the Americans were on Omaha Beach. And I mean, it's really remarkable that we are now here on the European continent with an actual war happening in the East that challenges democracy. That this country that we're in here, Norway, was in fact occupied by the Nazis. I believe it wasn't liberated until about May of 1945. So this is, I think, something that more people should take a a deep look at history and realize that this is in fact a fragile project, democracy. To the extent that there's like people in the Bitcoin community that think it's time to throw democracy in the trash and play with other ideas, you know, I don't know what to say to them, quite frankly, other than to look at my good friend Anna here and just like see the absolute horror that happens when we don't have a project of self-government, democratic accountability, when dictators and leaders of countries have absolutely no accountability to the people. To the extent that Bitcoin has been able to be a bulwark of allowing the work of Navalny's organization, the Anti-Corruption Foundation, to continue, that is like deeply inspiring. I think the freedom money use case is something that really is something I think about a lot in my work in Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, I see Bitcoin in that sense as a democratic tool in the way that Anna has advanced it, as well as many other individuals here. But yeah, I mean, to the Bitcoiners that think that like democracy is stupid, and I mean, people tweet this at me all the time. Like I don't know what they're smoking, but I have nothing good to say about those ideas.
Sorry. Hello. Not only is democracy under attack, but privacy has been under attack for a very long time. We're now not allowed to have any form of private transactions in most of the West, and recently we saw the charges brought against the Samurai developers and founders. Can you talk about the impact that's had, especially the chilling effect that's led to Wasabi also closing down operations, and why not just Bitcoin but private transaction are super important for the work you do in supporting democracy?
Yeah, I'll just give you an example. So the Anti-Corruption Foundation where I work was labeled as an extremist organization back in 2021, which means if you're Russian and if you make a donation to our organization, you're going to face imprisonment up to 8 years. So for us to receive donations, we should provide our donors with like higher level security tools of payments. And if there is like a tiny chance that your personal data, your financial data is going to be leaked to the government and they will put you to jail, of course you will not make a donation. That is why like privacy tools are not just important, it's a crucial thing. And at the Anti-Corruption Foundation, we are very concerned about that, and we try to do everything we can in order to provide safety for our donors. And we implemented that tool on our website that helps us to, like, first of all, we provide new Bitcoin addresses to every donation, and then we do coin join. So in the light of the latest news that you just mentioned, we got really scared, because if we are deprived of this privacy tools, we will not be able to accept Bitcoin donations, because we cannot put our donors at such a huge risk. So it is very important to talk about it, to highlight it, and this chilling effect is really it's really scary, because I know that many Bitcoin wallets developers, they started to think about that. They want to stop doing this work, and if this trend is gonna grow, if chilling effect is gonna grow like that, it can damage freedom fighters globally. And I think that all of those owners, creators of those tools, of those wallets, they should remember about us. And I think that it's very important to educate decision makers about the significance of those tools for freedom fighters. I don't know, maybe they just don't know about us, and I'm happy that I have a chance to talk everywhere in the world at different conferences about the importance of this for freedom fighters, because it's all about education. We need to educate everyone, including decision makers, so they take us into consideration when they make some decisions related to privacy tools.
Mike, we've got to keep to time. The floor is yours. It looks like you didn't even need a question.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm as obviously I'm an executive at a publicly traded company in the United States, so I'm going to choose my words here carefully. But look, I think that, look, I mean, it's very, I'm watching this case very carefully. I've also joined the steering committee of the P2P Defense Fund set up by BPI. And we are obviously looking at involvement in this case as it pertains to protecting P2P rights, which is very, very critically important. It is important that democracies do not crush the tools of freedom in the service of taking rule of law to the extreme. I do want to say, though, I don't consider the Samurai Wallet founders to be very sympathetic fellows. They were in fact bragging about helping Russia evade sanctions as that country crushes my Ukrainian friends. I would say, kind of going back to your first question about the kinds of Bitcoiners who don't support democracy. We have a lot of people, unfortunately, like that in this conversation of Bitcoin that don't make for very sympathetic characters. And to the extent that we can bring policymakers back from the brink, I think we need a lot more heroes like Anna telling the story of like Bitcoin and freedom, and not a pair of guys bragging about helping the Russians obtain money and material to crush freedom.
Spicy. Okay, thank you.